23rd October 1936, Talk 267. While speaking of the animal companions in the hall, Shri Bhagwan quoted a Tamil stanza by Avai. When the old lady was going along, she heard on one occasion someone praising Kambar. She replied with a stanza which means each is great in its own way. What is Kambar's greatness when compared with a bird which builds its nest so fine? The worms which give lac, the honey bee which builds the comb, the ants which builds cities, and the spider its web. Bhagwan then began to describe their activities. While living on the hill, he had seen a hut built of stones and mud and roofed with thatch. There was constant trouble with white ants. The roof was pulled down and the walls demolished to get rid of the mud which harbored the ants. Shri Bhagwan saw that the hollows protected by stones were made into towns. These were skirted by walls plastered black, and there were roads to neighboring cities which were also similarly skirted with black plastered walls. The roads were indicated by these walls. The interior of the town contained holes in which ants used to live. The whole wall was thus tenanted by white ants which ravaged the roofing materials above. Shri Bhagwan had also watched a spider making its web and described it. It is seen in one place, then in another place, again in a third place. The fiber is fixed at all these points. The spider moves along it, descends, ascends, and goes round, and the web is finished. It is geometrical. The net is spread out in the morning and rolled up in the evening. Similarly, the wasps build their nest of lace, crude, and so on. So then, each animal has got some remarkable instinct. Kambar's learning is not to be wondered at because it is God's will, as it is in the other cases. Talk 268. Dr. Syed, what is salvation? What did Christ mean by it? Maharishi. Salvation for whom and from what? Devotee. Salvation for the individual and from the sorrows and sufferings of the world. Maharishi. Whose are the sorrows, etc.? Devotee. Of the mind. Maharishi. Are you the mind? Devotee. I shall now explain how this question arose. I was meditating. I began to reflect on the grace shown by Christ to some devotees who got salvation. I considered that Sri Bhagwan is similar. Is not salvation the result of similar grace? That is what I mean by my questions. Maharishi. Yes, right. Devotee. The booklet Who Am I speaks of Swarupa Drishti, seeing the essence. Then there must be a seer and the seen. How can this be reconciled with the ultimate unity? Maharishi. Why do you ask for salvation, release from sorrow, etc.? He who asks for them sees them also. The fact is this: Drishti sight is consciousness. It forms the subject and object. Can there be Drishti apart from the self? The self is all Drishti, etc. Devotee. How to discern the ego from the perfect I? Maharishi. That which rises and falls is the transient I. That which has neither origin nor end is the permanent I consciousness. Devotee. Will continuous thought on the self make the mind more and more refined so that it will not think of anything but the highest? Maharishi. There is the peaceful mind which is the supreme. When the same becomes restless, it is afflicted by thoughts. Mind is only the dynamic power of the self. Devotee. Are the sheets material and different from the self? Maharishi. There is no difference between matter and spirit. Modern science admits that all matter is energy. Energy is power of force. Therefore, all are resolved in Shiva and Shakti, the self and the mind. The kosas are mere appearances. There is no reality in them as such. Devotee. How many hours a day should one devote to meditation? Maharishi. Your very nature is meditation. Devotee. It will be so when ripe, but not now. Maharishi. You become conscious of it later. That doesn't mean that your nature is now different from meditation. Devotee. What about practice? Maharishi. Meditation must always be practiced. Devotee. A Persian mystic says there is nothing but God. The Quran says God is immanent in all. Maharishi. There is no all. Apart from God, for him to pervade, he alone is.